be able to share that information and take advantage of what's out there, because we're going to be in a slowdown here for quite some time probably.
Absolutely. I've got that on the agenda, and I listened to a webinar about it yesterday. So we can talk about that if you'd like right now. That second item, relief for self-employment. Yeah, right there, Lindsay, thanks. The CARES Act, which is the third bullet point there, has these two programs whereby brokers, independent contractors can apply for a $10,000 grant. And it looks to be a pretty simple application. And for instance, one of them is called the Paycheck Protection Program. And those grant monies are intended to pay employees, utilities, rent, things that are essential to keep your business going. And then the SBA offers economic injury disaster loan/grant. Well, the first part that would come to you is a grant. And then you would be eligible to go forward if you needed more monies to acquire a loan. But both of these programs are grants, and then it's forgivable. You will have to provide documentation how you spent those monies for it to be forgivable. But my understanding is that comes down the way a little bit. Once you get your application in, the webinar said, you can expect maybe the grant to arrive in your bank account within 3 weeks, which would be pretty fast. And then down the road, when things even out, you will be asked to, like I say, document where those funds went to be eligible for the forgiveness. So I hope that's helpful. Any questions on that? You are a quiet bunch today.
I just want to add on the unemployment assistance. Of course, there's been so many unemployment claims that the website's severely bogged down, and they've extended their hours, and they're trying their best to field calls, but there's I think I saw the number this morning, 6.6 million have applied for unemployment. So some things, if you are needing to call or get online, it's easier if you get use the off hours, super early in the morning, really late at night, when the site isn't inundated with the number of people logging on. I tried to file our sales tax report and couldn't do it because it's all done on the same website. So we're just having to work around that. But and they've extended their hours from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. for phone calls, and Monday through Friday.
Crunching ice, sorry. Any other questions, comments on the relief out there for us?
Has anybody applied for the PPP program? And if so, how long does it take to fill out?
I haven't done it.
Lindsay, Jules, can I say something?
Sure.
My understanding is on the Paycheck Protection Program, I think you have to go through a bank for that. The other economic injury disaster loan that is up to $10,000, you can do that. That's directly from the SBA is my understanding. And I did make an application on that and I'm waiting to hear. But I do believe, my understanding is the Paycheck Protection Program, you do have to go through a bank. And I was told that that hits this Friday, and IBC Bank here should be able to help you. I don't know about the other banks, but you might want to check on that. That's my understanding.
Well, and let me just add, go to sba.gov, okay? And when you get that page, at the top, very top, is a yellow banner, and it's the SBA programs relevant to COVID. So make sure you click at that top yellow banner for more information or whatever, and that will take you to the details for the PPP, Paycheck Protection one, and the economic injury disaster. The best source to get the concise information.
Hey, Eva Jean, how long did it take you to fill out that disaster loan application?
It didn't take long at all, but I did it like already a week ago. And it didn't take long, and it did ask me for my bank routing number and my bank account number. And then when you hit the final submit, it gave me a number, a case number, I guess. And then they said that if they had any further questions, they would be in touch with me. I haven't heard anything yet, but I do know that, like Jules said, my understanding is it was going to take 2 or 3 weeks. So I have not heard anything from them, but it was very easy. And it's not asking for documentation. So I don't know if they're going to ask for it. It sounded to me like they're just ready to give out the money if so I don't know. That's all I know.
I agree, Eva Jean. It sounds like they're ready to just give out the money. But I picked up somewhere in the reading and web viewing that the documentation will come later.
Hey,
Just
Jules,
follow
we
up
have-
on the PPP that is administered through the local banks. I've been submitting those this week, and it's a simple application. It's only 2 pages, but it does require that you provide W-2s, 940, 941, and the most recent tax return. At least that's with First National here on South Padre. Each bank may be a little bit different, but that's all that they have required so far. But it's pretty quick and simple. And the bank you have to go through the banks to do that.
Hey, Mickey, did you say First National Bank here on the island?
Yeah, First National, South Padre. I think any of them are doing them. First Community is also, and so I think any of the banks, Lone Star, IBC, I think they're all doing those. But you would probably go through whatever bank you're banking with for your business, or if it's a condo association that you're submitting it for. That's what I would do. I'd go with the bank that you're working with on your account.
Thank you.
Anything else on that? Okay, Lindsay, let's go to the next slide. Okay, so here's just a flow chart relevant to what's an essential business. Kind of skeleton of how it applies to us in terms of limiting showings or contact that aren't essential, and using virtual information when possible. Does anybody have any good ideas to share in terms of how you're continuing marketing during this time that we could utilize? We're kind of stuck in the mud, aren't we?
Yeah, that is one of the questions I've gotten quite a bit from members is, are we allowed to show, with real estate being an essential business, but then we have the shelter in place order and, other regulations that we have to follow. And I've had several conference calls and Zoom meetings with NAR and TAR, and they all pretty much say, follow your local ordinances, try to do everything as much as you can virtually or from home. But with real estate being essential, if you had to do a showing and there was absolutely no other way around it, you could do it as long as the broker, has given you that authorization and you're also still in compliance with, the other guidelines, like having only 2 people in a car and the 6 feet distance, and, Port Isabel requires face masks, things like that. So those are all things that you have to keep in mind. But of course, virtual showings and, Facebook open houses, things like that are, preferred. I do, Dina's raising her hand here, so I'll go over here and unmute her. Here you go.
Morning. I was wondering, since they set up the checkpoint as you come onto the island, if we do have someone that is coming to the island for real estate business, is there some kind of proof that they can bring with them, that they have a meeting with us or some sort of real estate business on the island? Does anyone know if anyone has gotten stopped there? Do any of you have clients that have tried to come onto the island and haven't been allowed to pass?
Eva Jean. They shouldn't have a problem, but because real estate is listed as an essential business, They should be able to allow it. I haven't had any clients come. I've done a couple of FaceTime. I've asked the agent if I could go show a property, and I FaceTimed my people and walked around per their, that's what they wanted, but they should be able to come. And all I can say is if the police officer makes them turn around, you could call me. I can see what I can do, but they should be allowed.
We've been recommending that people take, a copy of Governor Abbott's order that shows that residential and commercial real estate are listed as essential businesses. And then I know yesterday I emailed Troy just a real simple form letter that he can issue to the agents in his office or in any broker. I'll share all of this information with everybody after the meeting, but that way they at least have the documentation, from the governor and then from Homeland Security. And I haven't heard of anybody having any issues. And if you have a hurricane pass, of course, you're allowed to just go onto the island. But like our office staff yesterday, she didn't have a hurricane pass, and she told them, I'm going to the office to do our weekly deposit, and they let her on, and she didn't have any problems. So I think with just a little bit of documentation, it shouldn't be an issue.
And maybe, Dina, one thing to make your client feel better is do an email confirmation for your appointment with your signature and your, brokerage and everything. And then that client could print it out and carry it with them coming onto the island. Just a thought.
Hey, Jules.
Yes. Sorry. Yes.
I think the first challenge is finding somebody that still wants to look at property right now.
True.
I have sellers that occupy properties, and they are just not going to allow showings right now. They don't want anyone that they do not know coming in their home, particularly if there's elderly family members in the home. So they've just shut down showings altogether. If it's unoccupied, I think we can still go show and obviously use that COVID-19 property access form that's been supplied to us. It's mainly to cover your butt. You have the seller sign it, you have the buyer sign it, you have the agent sign it. But I think the bigger challenge is who wants to go look at property right now? Who wants to go show?
Yeah, I agree. I'm not real hip to exposure.
I kind of think for us here at the island, unfortunately, that most people that are moving here are not in a situation where they've already sold their house and they've got to be in a property and they don't have any place else to go. But I've been talking to a lot of my McAllen realtors, and it probably holds true for the Brownsville realtors and the Harlingen and some of those, that there are people that they are out looking at property because they have to get into something because they don't have anywhere else to go. So there are some markets that, of course, the activity level is down, but it is happening in those places.
Yeah, I think part of the challenge is there's a shelter-in-place order for Cameron County, and if I take people to your listing that's occupied, I'm helping that seller violate that order. And I think that's a big risk. And everybody as independent contractors, we have to make up our own minds as to what we're going to do. But personally, if it's an occupied property, I'm not willing to take the risk right now. If I were to go into that home and infect somebody in that home and they could trace it back to me, that's a risk I'm not willing to take. So if it's occupied, I'm not showing it. If it's unoccupied, different story, mask, gloves, follow the protocol that's in place. I think you're okay there.
Therese had her hand raised. There you go. She's unmuted now.
David's correct. And I think we all have to use our better judgment in these times. And these times are unprecedented. Everybody's in the same boat, and we're all learning as we go along. Most of the police departments, I hear stories in other towns where they're not up on the latest rules and regulations, that realtors may not, they're more or less exempt from these orders. But as far as the South Padre Island Police Department, they've been very cooperative with me. I haven't had showings, but I've had to go over there for some of my sellers. And all they just ask is where I'm going, and they've been very cooperative, and they thanked us for being cooperative. So, like I said, we're all in this boat together, and, you know, use your better judgment.
Okay, we want to go to the next topic. Okay, we've had several directives come down and around, and Eva Jean is going to kind of give us the overview of the South Padre Island restrictions, and maybe we can all get clear on what we're supposed to do.
Well, I'll do my best because, quite frankly, I hate to even admit this, but I'm not even clear as a council person from day to day because things change every 5 minutes. And there is a lot of confusion about the no new rentals because of the verbiage, and the judge was supposed to clean it up and he didn't. So just to give some just real quick history so people understand where we're at. The rules have changed with the state of emergency. Usually a city can trump the county with their stuff, you know, whatever. The rules have changed with this state of emergency, and basically all the power now has been given to your local city mayors and your county judge. The county judge and any of the city mayors can actually make decisions and put them in place for 7 days before they need their commissioners or council to back it up. So just so you understand that. There's really nothing we can do about it. I've talked to Travis Kessler at Texas Realtors. They've talked to attorneys. So what happened is the city of South Padre Island, you know, we had all that spring break fiasco when all of this was hitting. And so we started making some decisions about the large gatherings and whatever, really before the county did. Then the county came in and started making these mandates. And so SPI had one set of rules and the county had one, because right now the county, legally we're supposed to all be abiding by the candy mandates and orders. So a city cannot be more lenient than the county, but they can be more strict. We decided a couple of weeks ago at SPI City Council, the mayor and us, that it's too confusing to people to have two sets of mandates and orders. And so we're going to rescind everything, and we're just going to do what the county says. And that's what we're going to do. Well, every day the county adds stuff. One city's doing this and one city's doing that. And so then the county judge says, because I'm on a conference call every morning at 10 hearing this. So the county judge then says, oh, that's a great idea. Let's all do it. And that's how it's kind of evolved. So the new no rentals or check-ins is very confusing because the verbiage says no new reservations. If somebody already had a reservation in place, my understanding, as I've asked questions from our police chief and our city manager and our mayor at the checkpoint, if someone's coming across the causeway and they stop at the checkpoint and they say, I am going to check into a hotel or a condo, they are asked to be turned around, whether they have a reservation or not. They're told that they have to turn around. That's my understanding. You do not have to have your hurricane, whatever it's called, sticker. If you have essential business like real estate, or you work, or a person can say, I need to go to the CVS here. I have a prescription there. I need to go to the Blue Marlin. They have something there I can't get. They are allowed on. So, and if a person drives up and says, I own property on the island and I'm going to my property, they would be allowed on. So it is very confusing. I know there are hotels and condos that are still doing check-ins, but quite frankly, folks, who has the manpower to enforce that? What's so frustrating for me is I can't tell you how many emails and text messages and phone calls I'm getting right now. People tattletelling, grown adults tattletelling, sending me a picture of this and this and that, and I'm like, wow, okay, well, that's so adult. But anyway, it's changing. I mean, I don't want to, I know you want Carmen to give some updates too. I can come back there. Just this morning, there's getting ready to be, I think, some new changes here at SPI. I think as we speak, the beaches are going to be closed. And I'm going to cry. So I'm sorry. I have fought and fought and fought. And let me tell you why the beaches are probably going to be closed. Not because there's hordes of people out there. People are complying. It's because you have people that want to buck the system. So I don't know if you all, I'm sure you all know this, that we have this thing called the General Land Office. The General Land Office dictates what happens on Texas public beaches. And there is a Texas Opens Beach Act that says everybody has public access to the public beaches in Texas. You can't say locals can, but others can't. It's per the General Land Office, it's law. The reason that we don't allow driving on the beaches in the city of South Padre Island is because we have said to the General Land Office, we will supply enough public parking spaces for people to park and get to the public beach so we don't have to have them driving. So now we've got people that are bucking the system that don't even live here on the island that say it's a public beach, and if other people are using it, I should be able to use it. So yesterday we had some people come from McAllen, is what I'm being told this morning, come from McAllen and mandate that they be allowed to go exercise and walk on the beach, because the officer at the causeway said, if you're not here for essential business, I'm turning you around. So they were turned around. They called the General Land Office. The General Land Office now has called our Shoreline Task Force director and said, you cannot keep them from going on the beach. So we're at a point that either we have to give up the checkpoint or we close the beach. And as hard as it is, these are tough decisions, guys, and I get criticized all day long. I'd rather have the checkpoint and close the beaches. And I think that's the sentiment of most. And I think our mayor right now is doing that. So it's because you have people that are childish and want to buck the system. I don't like following all these mandates. I'm not getting to see my grandkids. They're moving the beginning of the summer. It's hard for all of us. These are tough decisions, but just so you all understand why some decisions are made, it's because you have those 10% of people that are bucking the system and making it difficult for all of us. So let's say we make the decision, okay, let's get rid of the checkpoint. Let's let everybody come and walk on the beach. Guess what? When you go to Blue Marlin, you're not going to get anything because it's going to be sold out again. These are tough decisions. So I hope I've answered your questions. I'm happy to try to answer them the best I can. I'm living up at City Hall a lot. Not as much as Patrick, but you can see I'm near tears. They're very, very, very difficult decisions.
Thank you, Eva Jean. Very informative. Anybody else have anything to add on that?
Let me ask a question, Eva
Okay.
Jean. We have a lot of our owners, condo owners, that are calling about whether or not they can come to their condo on the island. And the way the mandate reads is that if it's not your shelter in place, then you're not allowed to come. And
Well,
so
Mickey,
we've passed that on to them. And I asked the city, the stuff that goes out, Nikki sends those out. And I asked her, I said, okay, I'm an owner and I have a condo here and I want to come check it out. But the way it's written, I'm going to get stopped by the police and the police is going to say, I'm sorry, you can't come. And she says, well, that they have the right to make that judgment. But if I got an owner that's in Dallas is coming down here to the island and they come and they get turned away because that's not their shelter in place. It's not, it's not where they're living. They're just going to come for a weekend. Then, that puts us into a predicament to tell them, yeah, I think it's okay. Maybe the police will let you come, but the way the thing says, if you read it, if it's enforced the way it's written, is that owner would not be allowed to come.
Mickey, all I can tell you is that as far as I know, I don't think any owners of properties have been turned away. We are not, I don't think any of us at the city council are saying if an owner owns something and they want to come, they should be allowed. And that's the problem. I'm telling you, things are written a certain, this is not a city mandate. I want you to understand, it's a county mandate. It's not coming from the city, it's coming from the county. But I believe anybody that drives up to that checkpoint and says, I own property on the island, and they can prove it, and I'm going to go to my property, I need to check on my property, whether they're going to stay or not. I don't think they're going to be turned away.
Okay.
But there are the hotlines. What I would tell my owner is call the city hotline and talk to them. That takes the monkey off your back. But I don't think owners of property here are being turned away.
Okay. Well, that's exactly what we've done. I've provided the, weekly updates as things change to our owners to tell them, hey, this is what's going on South Padre Island. Yeah, the beaches are open and you have to practice social distancing, and you can't lay out there. You can walk or you can run, but you can't just hang out on the beach. And so, we keep them up to date on those things, but that's the question really that comes out is that I'm an owner, can I get to my place?
Yes, I think they can, but I'm going to make another big point. And unless y'all ask me any more questions, I'll shut up. I don't want to dominate the meeting, but another thing you need to tell your folks is every county has different mandates and orders. And there's a lot of cities that have different mandates and orders than the county. So you're coming from Dallas, you better be aware of what the mandates and orders are in every town and county you're driving through, because some counties and cities have mandated face coverings, even in the car. That's the problem, and the 2-person per limit. Maybe Dallas doesn't have that, but you hit Hidalgo County,
Sure.
You hit Cameron County, because Hidalgo does have the 2 people per car. That's the challenge. So that's what I would tell them too, is that, okay, yeah, you're probably going to be able to get into your property because you own, but, because I know lots of people that have, but are you going to get stopped along the way and get tickets because you violated other county and cities mandates while you were in your car?
Sure.
Okay, thanks again, Eva Jean. Next, we're going to talk about Port Isabel. Carmen is most familiar with that and is going to try to clear up the guidelines going on in Port Isabel.
Yes, we have been changing our rules every day, like Eva Jean said, and mostly on some of the people that want to come and see their properties here on the island. Really what we want to tell those people is that, is it an essential travel business? Now, do you really have to come to your unit and check it out, or stay there thinking it's going to be a vacation? I mean, you have to kind of try to encourage to minimize the trips. If you can check it for them, great. Our problem here is mostly our stores, H-E-B and Walmart. People take family. People think it's a trip just to go and see because they're bored. And even though we're telling them they need to wear a mask and they need to wear gloves to go in, people just throw the gloves everywhere. So I believe we're going to now change it to where you get fined if we see you throwing your gloves or your masks on the pavement instead of the trash. So we're gonna have to start implementing that. And Walmart and H-E-B do have cameras, so we're gonna probably get somebody to monitor if we see that. So you'll see that coming. Other than that, we're just like the island. We're following county rules and regulations, and every day I'm trying to I believe I sent Lindsay some of our changes and rules, and Lindsay shared it. And I'll try to give her that with every change, and we'll go from there. But we are changing every day, and mostly our problem is people are just going to Walmart and H-E-B for a little vacation. They don't need anything. I mean, you see them walking out with just one item. That's what we're trying to do, is just don't go out. Stay home, stay home, stay home, please. So that's all I can say, is that we do have the same rules and regulations as the island.
I have a question. This is Leslie.
Mhm.
I mean, we don't have the same rules in Port Isabel because you can't go for a run without wearing a face mask.
Exactly. That's the only difference. Yeah, the face mask is a #1 covering. Mhm.
Yeah, and the county doesn't even have that either. That's just a Port Isabel thing.
That is, we've talked to the county and they would want you to do that. So we
Well,
put it in there.
It's
a lot of
Leslie,
people,
it's suggested, not mandated by the county.
Suggested, but we are mandating it here in Port Isabel.
yes, so if you're out for a run by yourself and no one is around you, you have to wear the face mask. And they have been issuing so many tickets, it's ridiculous. So everyone needs to watch out. They're even giving tickets if you jump out of your car to get something. I've heard so many stories. It's crazy. Also, if you are in a construction project, even though construction has been deemed essential, I know a contractor that was shut down just the other day. So it's completely confusing.
It's very confusing. Even like Eva Jean said, even we as a council people, it changes every day, and we have to constantly be calling, our city manager or our mayor or whatever to see what's going on. But there's always two sides to the story. Some people will say this and that, and really when you start asking the correct people, you'll see the difference of a story it makes. And so we just go with every day, changing.
Thanks very much, Carmen. Anybody else have a question or comment on this? Okay. What do we have next, Lindsay? The new forms Texas Realtor has come out with. These are not mandated, but I think they're certainly worth using and very helpful to protect our clients, both buyers and sellers. This first one relates to being able to extend a closing date or terminate the contract and not jeopardize a buyer's earnest money due to the COVID crisis. Has anybody been through a pipeline with this yet in terms of using it and utilizing it? Not so much? Okay, the next one that Texas Realtors has come up with is this certification for property access. And I think David brought this up earlier. I think it's a really good tool to protect yourselves and, again, your clients. It just asks people to please verify they have not been in a situation where they could be carrying COVID, etc. Any comments on that one? Okay. We can still be learning during this time. Lindsay?
Yes, so all of our CE courses have been customized so that we can offer them remotely, so you can still take them from your own, the comfort of your own home, from your office. And for the most part, we have had a couple cancellations on classes, but the majority of the classes have been going forward as planned. You can get all of your, CE done, you know, while we all have all this downtime. Let's see, it's offered through Zoom just like we're doing now. So you just need a webcam and microphone and audio. And then I wanted to let you guys know about some free CE that we have coming up too. So at our quarterly meeting, we talked about the new Code of Ethics requirement. Well, it's not new. You've always had the Code of Ethics requirements. It's just that Legal 2 used to satisfy NAR's Code of Ethics requirement. There have been some changes, so now Legal 2 no longer satisfies that, and you do have to take a course that's specifically on the Code of Ethics, and it has to be at least 2.5 hours. So since this is kind of new, and especially in Texas, a lot of agents and brokers did not realize that they had this additional requirement, we are offering several opportunities to take the Code of Ethics for free. I just went through May, but we also have a class in June that we'll be sending out. But we have April 23rd, May 5th, and May 19th. And our instructors are Lee York and Candy Cook. And so it'll automatically update your record. We report your CE credits directly to TREC. And in most cases, it's reported the same day or the next day. So it's really fast on reporting. And then I also wanted to bring up NAR's initiative, Right Tools Right Now, which they started this back in, I think it was 2008 or 2009 when the market originally crashed, and it kind of went away once everything straightened out. Well, they've brought it back now for the members, and there's some really cool benefits there. So right now they have up to 24 hours of free CE if you go to the website. They have the pricing strategies, mastering the CMA. That's a 6-hour course that's free. And then if you wanted to get the certification, they're also offering that for half price. The ePro certification is 12 hours of CE that you can get for free. And if you want to get the certification, it's also half price. And then there's there was an investing class also that's also 6 hours. And so those are all free. That's all stuff that you can be doing online and, you know, taking your CE credit. One of the other really cool benefits that NAR is offering, it's on a limited, there's a limit. I'm not sure what the limit is, but it's members telehealth. So every member, if you sign up before April 15th, will have access to the online telehealth. And so you can visit a doctor, you can talk to a psychologist, you can, they even have dermatology on there. So it's unlimited visits. There's no copay. You just have to sign up before the 15th. And I just wanted to note too that everything in these PowerPoints I'm going to email to you, and these are all links. So if you just click on the logo, click, you know, on any of the photos or the links, it'll take you directly to the website. Anybody have any questions about any of these? Oops, I have one. Let me see here. Yes, so they're asking if I can email the date and time for the free classes. So those are all, you just go to the Right Tools Right Now page on the NAR website, and you just add it. It's not at a specific time. You can take it any day of the week, and I believe it's a year. So if you sign up today, you would have a year to complete it, and it's just on your own time. Okay. So take advantage of the CE. They're all being monitored remotely. All the same, you know, CE rules apply. You have to, you know, pay attention, just like we're doing now. You have to be on camera the whole time. And Lizette is monitoring most of the classes remotely, but we kind of swap. So, and, you know, our office is open. We're not there, but we're working from home remotely. We're still checking out lock boxes, you know, tech support, all of that stuff. So we're still here. Anything that you guys need, just let us know. And that's all I had on the CE classes.
Well, any other topics, questions, concerns that you all want to address?
Jules, I don't know if everybody heard, if they're keeping up with the weather, but On our call today, somebody from the National Weather Advisory was on, and we're going to have some bad weather, I think, starting this afternoon and through the weekend. And they're saying it's a high probability of some hail. So, people just be careful.
Thank you. That's not fun. Anything else, y'all? Nope.
Can I chime in here just a bit?
Sure.
There are some, I really appreciate this broker roundtable. I think it's very valuable for all of us. There are some people at different brokerage companies that are involved in a supervisory role or a management role or a leadership role that may not have a broker's license. And I don't think, you want every single sales agent on a call like this, but I think someone that is in that type of a leadership role, but may not be a licensed broker, I think they should be allowed on these roundtable discussions, because they may have input and they may receive input from everybody else that's valuable to that brokerage company. Just food for thought down the line.
Okay, good food. Does anybody right now have a comment about that idea? How we get
Yeah, I think in the future, especially as long, depending on how long this goes on, we definitely, we have a MLS committee meeting that's scheduled next week. We have a board meeting. So the Zoom meeting seems to be, how we're going to be doing business moving forward. So I think for this initial one, we just had the brokers forum scheduled and, tried to scramble and pull it together for today. And it was, initially advertised as just for brokers and broker associates. But I think you have a valid point, and I think we need to do something for the whole membership too moving forward, especially since we're not going to get that one-on-one, opportunity anymore for a while. So I think it's a good idea. I am recording this video and I'll send it to everybody that's in the meeting. So if you have somebody, that needs to see the information, definitely feel free to share it with them as well. And then moving forward, we'll plan to include more people in the meetings, I think.
Sounds good. Anything else? Well, I think it's been a valuable get together, and we'll do it again soon. We have it slated, what, quarterly, roughly?
Yeah.
At the beginning of the meeting, I think Lenny brought up that Brownsville's doing it more often than that. How do y'all feel about, do we need to do it more often during this time? Or we're good where we are, we could call as needed? Input?
I think, quarterly seems too not frequent enough in these times. Weekly to me is a little overwhelming, just because we have all of our meetings right now are Zoom, and we're just trying to kind of navigate and figure all of that out. So weekly for me, in my opinion, is a little overwhelming. Weekly or bi-weekly or monthly, I think we can swing that and have information to share, but for me, weekly would be overwhelming, honestly.
Sure.
There's just so many Zoom meetings and things to keep up with.
Correct. Monthly would be ideal unless we have something pressing. One thing we got to remember, Brownsville has a lot more agents than we do, so
True.
there might be a lot more questions evidently than what we might have. But yeah, weekly, I think it's just, I don't see the need for it at this moment.
Well, Brownsville, as was mentioned earlier, is like a lot of the cities, McAllen, Harlingen, they're still a typical real estate market. So they do have people that are still looking and needing to find housing for their family. We, on the other hand, are dealing basically with resort property investor kind of clients. So that's certainly not going to be the kind of activity here that they have. So I agree with Carlos. Yeah, monthly probably is good.
I would just like to offer this too. I actually was on Tuesday on a conference call up at City Hall that Governor Abbott was on, and Congressman Kevin Brady and some other people. The governor is wanting he wants to get the economy moving again. So just remember that his shelter in place order is through April 30th. Of course, he can extend it, but he was talking about maybe trying to open up some essential businesses like restaurants and whatever. People have to wear masks, gloves. They have to, you know, that they can only have maybe 50% occupancy, you know, social distancing. So I think if things keep staying the way they are, because we don't have hordes and hordes of cases in Texas. As of Tuesday, there was 89,000 Texans that had tested for the virus. 8,083 were positive. Of those 8,083, 1,241 had to go to the hospital. And as of Tuesday, we had 168 deaths. So the numbers, even in Cameron County, there's only 5 to 7 people that are in the hospital because of the virus. So I think we're going to see a movement to try to get the economy moving again. That's just kind of what I'm hearing. So hopefully maybe into May, we won't have these problems so much. So for whatever that's worth.
One other thing that I wanted to share, in one of our properties that we manage, we found out that we had actually 2 people that came to the condo. They left their primary residence, but they did come out here to quarantine for 14 days. Fortunately, neither one of those 2 parties turned out positive for the COVID, but they are coming down here to quarantine for those 14 days, which is, you know, it's tough because if you live in a complex and you have somebody in there that's quarantined, but they don't know whether they have it or not, they're going up and down the elevators and all the walkways and even to our local stores, which they shouldn't be doing because quarantine means you're supposed to stay in place. But anyway, I'd just like to share that if for any property managers or people that are handling management for HOAs or whatever.
If I could just real quick, Randy Smith just sent me something and I'll read it to you. This is coming from the Port Isabel Police Department. Checkpoint to enforce order. Due to increased traffic that has been entering the city of Port Isabel, the city will now enforce a checkpoint on Texas Highway 100 and Texas Highway 48 that all vehicles will be subject to beginning today and will continue daily. The county judge's shelter-in-place order is very specific as to essential travel. If one decides to travel, it is in their best interest to follow the essential travel order. Anyone found to violate the shelter-in-place order will be subject to a fine up to $1,000 and or up to 180 days in jail per violation. So, Mickey, everybody, I mean, that's even before you get to the island. So even if the island is going to let you into your property, maybe they're at Port Isabel, they're not going to. So there you go. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. And we have heard, you know, some calls I've gotten from members are about I guess there was an agent in Brownsville that was out showing property or was attempting to show property and received a $1,000 ticket. And so there were some phone calls made and David, the AE in Brownsville, was able to talk to the chief of police and I think they got that worked out. Haven't really heard a whole lot. We had a rental company on the island that was charging a sanitation fee or a sanitizing fee for after, you know, before you can show a property, you had to pay a fee based on the number of bedrooms the property had. But they did rescind that. I think it was the next day or maybe 2 days later because it wasn't received very well from the membership. But really, I haven't heard of any specific issues, just a lot of questions, you know, about what this means, how it's going to affect the real estate market and, you know, all of that. We just have to kind of wait and see. I think the longer it goes on, the more trouble we'll be in, but hopefully by the end of the month, we'll have kind of a new normal.
You know, we have some owners that are concerned about this when showing property. I think this TAR form, the COVID-19 form that's voluntary now, that is provided to potential buyers to state their name, information that they haven't come in contact with us, that they're aware of. I think that would be an essential tool to send to our owners or sellers in case they do call and say, hey, well, I'm worried about showing my property. And what we can do is, okay, look, if anybody wants to show your property, since you're that concerned, we can get you this TAR form from the showing agent. It's going to be a little extra work, but it gives our clients some assurances that at least we're providing them a form that this particular buyer or person seeing it has signed off to, just as a suggestion.
You know, I'd also like to just do a little advertisement right now for TreePack and RPack, because guys, I know times are going to be tough. It's going to be hard to invest in TreePack and RPack, but I guarantee you, because of our political clout in Washington, D.C. and Austin, is why Homeland Security and the governor of Texas has deemed real estate and all the subsidiary, like the mortgage lenders, appraisers, as an essential business. So it's now more important than ever to stay in touch with your elected officials and invest your money in TreePack, because just look how we are able to still conduct business, even though it's in a different model, but we can still conduct business. So just wanted to put that plug in.
Thanks. Well, I thank you all for joining in and sharing ideas and information, and we will revisit again soon, you know, like Carlos suggested, probably a month.
Thank you, Lindsay.
I just want to wish everybody a very happy Easter. It'll be a sad one because we're not going to be able to be with our loved ones, but I wish you the best and stay safe.
Stay safe.
Thank you guys. Stay safe.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Thanks, Lindsay. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
See
Bye-bye.
y'all.